Big Luigi, wake up. Mario, what do you want? Do you remember going to Squid's meet and greet? Yeah, Squidward. Yeah, we're going with Mario. Why? It might cause chaos because I don't think he likes Squidward that much. Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Anyways, let's go find him. I'll go get Luigi. Get Peach with me! Hopefully he'll be back someday. She'll be back someday. Daddy, I've put my pet again. Daddy, what's going on? Oh hey, we just came to inform you that we're going out to Squid's meet and greet. What, Squidward from SpongeBob? Yeah. Why would you have to go see that crappy neighbor for SpongeBob? He's just a grumpy ass. Hey, don't make fun of Squidward. He's our favorite character. Even though he's mean, we still like him. Fine, I guess I'll go with you guys. Oh no, mister. It might cause chaos if you go because he hates Squidward that much. I don't have him that much. But still, you have to go. Stay here because I'm afraid you have to cause chaos here. I promise. No, it's too late. So, see you later. But no, don't leave. Alright, let's go. Let's go see the grumpy squid. Let's go. Stupids. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here by myself. And no one's achievement offer. It's gonna crust up. Well, since I'm home alone now, I guess I can do whatever I want. I can get some peanut butter. Alright, we're gonna break into this house and steal everything they got, alright? Are we sure we have to go without ski masks? Because what if they know where they are and the police will arrest us? Don't worry, we'll be as fast as we can. At least we don't have security cameras. I think they do. Well, let's just be fast as I can. Is there a reason why your eyes are removed? Oh, no, that's a robot. I can't just see with one eye. Okay, that's creepy. 2 eyes inside your goggles? Yeah, kinda creepy, isn't it? Anyways, let's go. Alright, the peanut butter has to be somewhere in here somewhere because I feel like they hide peanut butter from me. So, let's find some peanut butter. I wonder where it is though. Maybe by that closet over there. I can't think of it. Someone's in here. I go peek. Who are those people? What the heck? Must be burglars. I know burglars before. I go stop him somehow. Alright. Let's go find something more valuable than these other crappy things, because they're stupid. What the heck was that noise? It might be coming over there. What the heck is that? Where did this dumbbell come from? All I can hear is the sound. But Pepper, speak to me! Oh, he might be dead. Oh shoot. Oh shit, I gotta warn him. I knew there was booby traps here. Oh gosh. Okay, seriously, how does it even work? Black Pepper. What? What about Black Pepper? Zombie. Black Pepper just got killed by a dumbbell. Well, how's it even possible? I know it's heavy, but dang. Anyways, I gotta warn you, there's a bunch of booby traps in this house. I don't know booby traps. Is there security cameras here? Well, there's not security cameras, but make sure don't get seen. I'm pretty sure we're already seen to begin with. What the heck is that noise? This door! What the heck? Where did the knife come from? Oh gosh, I'm bleeding. I think I see the light. Don't worry, just sliced you. Yeah, you think you're right. But I'm still bleeding. Oh, is there any band-aids around here? I'm not ready to run this house yet because there's so many. I think I have a band-aids. Let's go. Oh, I heard a bunch of noise. Yeah, take that, you stupid burglar. I knew this dumbbell would work someday because it always kills people. Yeah, take that, you pesky bitch. Anyways, let's go see what the knife is. It sounds like it's shiny. Oh yeah, there's definitely blood here, so somebody get stabbed with it. The knife did ready to help. I gotta put this back where it is. Alright, let's go see what the other pesties are doing. Alright, just find the bandits, alright? Don't worry, I'll find them. What the heck is that noise? What the heck is that thing? Whoa, what the heck? What the heck? Where did this plastic come from? It wasn't there before. Yeah, it saw it when I came in. Zombie, are you okay? Oh gosh. All I see is pure darkness. Oh gosh, you're blind? Oh, I just accidentally looked at it. I'm blind. Can't see what advantage is that. We'll go find them. Ugh. What the hell is going on? Why are there booby traps everywhere? Oh gosh. Oh gosh. You know what? I think we'll heal someday. Zombie, come for me. We gotta rob this house quick and we'll get out of here. Where? Oh yeah, he's blind. Now I got him nailed. Who said that? I can't see. No way. Yeah, you can't see me, are you? No, I see a scared darkness. Who are you? Sound like a baby voice. You're kind of mean, mister. What the heck's happening? I can't see. Oh, what the heck's happening? I can't see anything. It's none of your business. Now I gotta turn into a puncher real quick. What the heck is happening? Oh gosh. No need to worry about that right now. No, you must die like me. What the heck? What do you mean? Oh. That was so gory, isn't it? Now let's go find the last burglar of this house. Man, all of these products sucks. Whoever bought these must be really poor right now. Oh, you think? What the heck? There's a child in here. Yeah, you're trying to run this house, but all you have is very cheap things. I don't care if it's cheap. Now, get in the oven. Wait, what? Don't tell me what you think I'm gonna do. Let's turn it. Fresh minion. Okay, you know, he sounds gross. He smells gross. It's not even fully cooked anyways. Anyways, I think that was the last burglar. I'm gonna chill and get my peanut butter. Alright, let's go. I'm so glad you came into this meet and greet. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, we'll promise to come tomorrow. Come on. Remember, don't be a squid. I'm just kidding, I'm already a squid. Alright, we're back home. I can't believe how Baby Mario participated. Let's see. Can't be that bad, right? Alright. What the heck? There's our man here. Oh god, he's dead. How did he even get here? I think Burglar was coming to the house. Or some other dead somehow. Oh gosh, what happened? Oh gee. What's going on? What's going on, Mario? Luigi? I have no idea. I think we're not gonna talk about it right now. Oh gee. What the heck is this? Where did this dumbbell come from? Oh gosh. What the heck? He's got ripped in half. I think those burglars are here, and he died somehow. What the hell's happening? We're getting kind of scared, Mario Luigi. Don't worry, I'll keep you safe. Somebody's killing someone. Let's see how Mario's doing. What the heck? Where's the blindness at? And who's that? Oh gee. I think someone is really killing people here. Well, at least their burglars, they deserve it. They should burn in hell, but not this brutal. Oh gee. Maybe Baby Mario has something to do with this. But what did Baby Mario do? We didn't even pay attention. I forgot our security cameras aren't working to see what's actually going on. So I have to ask him to see what it is. Okay. Baby Mario, can I tell you something real quick? Oh hey, Dad. I'm glad you're back home. Yeah. There's a bunch of dead people, at least 3 of them dead. Is there already a killer in the house, or do you just do it? Oh, thanks to you being home alone. I had to kill these people so they wouldn't steal your valuables. I'm kind of glad about that. But realize you're a kid, you should be in serious danger. Maybe next time you should take me next time. Yeah, I learned my lesson. Oh, and by the way, you didn't even change my diaper because I just put it in my diaper. I'll get right on it. And I was hungry for peanut butter, so I have this right here. Alright, this will change your diaper. I'll change your diaper later. Okay, but hurry up before it crusts. Alright. So what do you say? He was the one who killed these 3 people. By himself, he's such a little kid. Yeah, kind of surprised, but now there's a big mess. And I'm the expert here, so I'll clean up all this mess and get rid of the bodies. That is the weirdest day of my life. The Cool Kid must be arriving any moment now. I wonder when he's gonna be here. Yo, what's up, Cool Kid Mario? I'm here! Well, Cool Kid, you have some new drip. Yeah, I know, I got a chain, I got this BJ shirt. I'm looking cool, bruh. Oh, that is so cool. How'd you get those? My grandma. Oh, and unfortunately she died. That's kind of sad. Anyways, I called you because you needed something? Yeah, come to the basement and find out. Alright. Alright, give me that, yo. I got this dumbbell here. You gotta do a dumbbell. Alright, lift it. Watch it. Okay. You gotta go up and down, in order to get strong muscles. Did I try it? Here. Right, let me try to lift it off my back. I'm pretty sure it's impossible, but whatever. Alright, let's do this. No, just maybe cramp my diaper. Well, you gotta keep trying. Wait, let me just try something else before I lift this dumbbell. Try to do sit-ups. Okay. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That was easy. Alright, now next is trying to be peeled up. Wait, what? Yeah, you have to be peeled up in order to get revenge. With what? Let's go. Oh gosh! Oh gosh, this smells good. Cheers! Wow. Oh shoot.
The following message from the YOS Foundation is an anomaly that is kept by the Foundation, and the person needs to be found. YOS 10087. Object Class. Safe. YOS 10087 is putted in a storage room and must be locked at all times. YOS 10087 is a Xbox box which is super tall in height, like 9 meters tall. It has a greenish hue, which is because Xbox is green, and it has a cooler inside. The noise is endless and is cooling down the inside of the box. However, the species that dares to go inside it is screwed. If they get in, they are locked from the outside, but after at least a minute or 56 seconds, they will hear a growling noise. Origin. It has been found in one of the cities by a man. He took it to his house and he randomly took it to his son. 3 minutes later the boy feels his stomach hurting, wanting to poop, but he realized that the house doesn't have a toilet, so he instead pooped in the box. The kid left his room to go on a vacation. 3 minutes while the turd is in the box. The turd freezes and decomposes completely, causing the cooler to be colder, so the boy was the one responsible for making the victims die. The boy was named Richard. Now how did the creature YOS 10087-1 appear? Well, the boy became hostile and kills the species bringing it to the box. The boy ran away from the country to avoid the cops. So that's why it became dangerous to the civilians. YOS 10087-1 wasn't found inside the box. Instead, he forms outside of the box and shakes the box, killing the species instantly. However, if the person inside the box with the person watching the box, it does not form outside of it. The instance only forms when no one's there. If the person is faster enough, they will capture it, putting it in a separate cell. It was originally going to be classified as Keter, but the box wasn't even dangerous enough to be that. It is classified as safe instead. The boy was never found, might be in an unknown location. Stay safe out there and we will gather more information of YOS 10087 until further notice. Yoink, obtain, secure. YOS 5240. Object Class. Euclid. Containment Procedures. YOS 5240 is kept in a room with a chair and a television where YOS 5240 is kept at. The anomalous abilities of YOS 5240 causes someone to commit suicide at this point. Description. YOS 5240 appears to be a run-seen Mickey Mouse cartoon from the 1930s. It shows Mickey walking in a endless town, with a looped animation showing. The music is featuring a rarely piano playing, but eventually switches to static noises. After that, it turns silent. After the static stops, the background turns black for a few minutes. When the black screen disappears, Mickey appeared walking even further. Eventually screams will be heard from a human male. After the third scream, Mickey will have a grin on his face, meaning he's slowly losing his sanity. Before the screaming stops, Mickey's grin will expand even more, exposing his teeth with a half-angry grin. Strange noises will be heard and Mickey's eyes will become white, which is dead empty. The town will also be decomposing. Now more screams are heard, and it will last for a few minutes before returning again. The town has decaying even more and Mickey's face will begin melting. He will begin running, maybe not used to the screaming. After the screaming stop, Mickey will fall on the ground and releases a syringe which has a unknown chemical. It turns silent again and the demon will appear by Mickey, staring at someone watching it. It will cause a loud noise, which will cause Mickey to no-clip out of the TV. Instead of being suicidal, he will become homicidal. And YOS 5240-2 will kill someone if he spots someone. But unlike other YOS anomalies, he will not get back to where he came from unless someone manages to kill him. YOS 5240-1 releases YOS 5240-2 if someone dares to watch it. The Foundation is trying to find someone who was responsible for making that episode. No evidence of the person hasn't been found. He was classified as Euclid because YOS 5240 needs more resources or maybe he wasn't actually able to be contained. The anomaly is sapient. YOS 5240 isn't known that much. YOS 5240 seems strong enough to bust down steel doors. The TV should be unplugged or turned off at all cost. But TV seems to be anomalous as well. It turns on by itself. We'll be right back when we gather more information about YOS 5240 until further notice. Yoink, obtain, secure. YOS 414, Object Class, Kita, Containment Procedures. YOS is kept in a room inside a glass box and must be locked at all times. Description. YOS 414, also known as the spreading flesh, is a large mass of human flesh which is red and white in color. It was also called the living flesh, due to mobility. This flesh spreads very quickly and devours humans and animals, ripping the skin off to expand 414. It is classified as Kita because, like I said, it spreads fast and must be trapped in a 12-foot box and poured into a glass box. Personnel are not to touch YOS 414 at all. This could cause a containment breach. It is impossible to neutralize this anomalous mass of flesh, because it consumes bullets too. We will find a way to terminate this fleshy beast until further notice. Stay safe out there. YOS 2003, Object Class, Euclid. YOS 2003 is secured at Site 43 surrounded by a metal fence. YOS 2003, also known as the Stacked Houses, is a group of 21 houses stacked together. It is a alternate dimension when going inside it. It contains multiple rooms and dangerous entities inside, known as 2003-2. None of the people were able to find an exit. It is too heavy and too big to be taken to the Foundation, so they decided to secure it and forbid it for anyone else.
Expect with the Foundation personnel.
Item, YOS 951. Object Class, Euclid. Containment Procedures. YOS 951 is to be kept in a square room surrounded by a keyboard, line lights and a face cam unless for use. Anyone who sees YOS 951 stretch her lips towards must be immediately removed from the chamber. No one is allowed to smooch with YOS 951 by any means. People must be sitting on a chair a mile away from YOS 951. Description. YOS 951 is a computer device, PC, with the face of a human female, with eyes and red lips, doesn't possess a nose and eyebrows. She is capable of stretching her lips to 2 meters, and attempting to kiss the person after interacting. The background behind the face is pink in color. Origin. YOS 951 was found in a store when a man finds it. It was a normal computer device, but the man accidentally activated a unknown application called Kiss Eggs, and the female face appears and immediately kissed the man, eventually killing him with her kiss. She was eventually captured by the Foundation, realizing this application cannot be closed and will permanently be on the screen, and they are forced to stay a mile from her. Incident 951. YOS 951 was originally classified safe, but after she kissed her individual, she broke the windows from her lips and kissed almost all personnel inside 08. Eventually a professor cut her lips with a saw after encountering a near-death experience from her kiss. She expanded her lips to 100 meters long, but due to the saw, she only expands 2 meters for now. She was reclassified as Euclid because of the incident. She was sent to Site 08, a few miles away from YOS 4560 and AMP, YOS 7190. Item, YOS 872. Object Class, Euclid. Containment Procedures. YOS 872 is to be kept in a rectangular cell poured on a huge cup and the rest of the liquid in a soap-shaped hole. No one is to interact with YOS 872 by any means, and personnel wanting to get in the liquid is forbidden. Description. YOS 872 is a colorless acidic gallon of water contained in a cup and soap-shaped hole. It boils when attempting to touch and drink YOS 872 and burning off the skin of the victim with acidic effects, most likely hydrochloric acid. It is completely transparent, seeing the bottom of the cup and pool. Origin. Its origin is unknown. All the Foundation found is that a man is suffering from the acid water and instantly gets killed, and the Foundation finally containing YOS 872. Item, YOS 1362. Object Class, Euclid. Containment Procedures. YOS 1362 is to be kept in a 3-cell chamber and should be locked at all times. The shield structure is to not be removed unless it's to be used for something important. The grass expansion is to be slowed down by an indestructible object. Several grass should be cut off if too much grass is formed. Several instances of YOS 1362 A and B should be locked up in 3 cells if hostility takes over them. Description. YOS 1362 is a large layer of grass filled with unknown species, covering up most lakes and plants. The full grass was cut off by the Foundation, which takes up to 3 years to cut off. They also contained most of the unknown instances of YOS 1362. YOS 1362A is a sentient human skull covered in moist, mold and grass. It doesn't move, but it does takes over the minds of living things and forces them to turn into a YOS 1362A by interacting with the grass. YOS 1362B is a humanoid entity covered in grass. It moves around trying to find any living thing to turn them into a YOS 1362B instance. It also hibernates during the night, sometimes during daytime. It shows extreme hostility to any species it interacts with. Origin. A man and his child finds a random huge grassland they never saw. His child was curious of what was over there. Even though the man thinks it is a bad idea, he decided to go to it. They traveled 10 miles away from the sidewalk, eventually finding a strange human covered in grass. They were confused and dared to approach it. The humanoid spotted them and sprinted toward the child's dad, instantly killing him. The son screamed and runs back to the sidewalk, but the humanoid outruns him and kills him. They eventually turned into an instance. The dad turns into a YOS 1362B instance, and the son turns into a YOS 1362A instance. For some reason the mom was missing. Maybe joined the same fate with her husband and son. The Foundation takes 3 years to cut off the full layer of grass and contained in Site 10, along with the entities. Contained in Site 10 a few miles away YOS 9100 and YOS 7629. Item, YOS 5023. Object Class, Kita. Containment Procedures. YOS 5023 is to be kept in a closed cave and must block YOS 5023 at all times. The cave must be closed when entering YOS 5023 cell. Description. YOS 5023 is a flaming tornado about 2 meters wide and red flames surrounding it. It is capable of burning any type of objects and living thing, and pulls up light objects and releases any object if the species is spotting a object coming towards it and immediately dies. Origin. It has a rainy day and it looks like a tornado is forming. The people in the house were chilling and for some reason attempting to kill the people. The tornado purposely smashes a car in another one and absorbs all fire it causes and releases fire every time it moves. It soon dies by water tornado but reforms itself and continues absorbing fire and burns the grounds. Contained in Site 12 by YOS 2109 and YOS 8043. Item, YOS 60728. Object Class, Kita. Containment Procedures. YOS 60728-1 and 2 is to be kept in a square room and a YOS 60728 forest is to kept secured and forbids people from entering. No one is to travel further in YOS 60728. This will cause a containment breach. Description. YOS 60728 is a endless forest filled with trees, no animals and moldy. YOS 60728-1 instances of severed arms found in the forest. They are human arms, meaning some people attempted to enter the forest and killed, but they never even attempted to enter in the first place. They just randomly appear. YOS 60728-2 and severed legs and human-like. They drip blood from the cut of the upper arm and leg. Origin. A family called the Grisons entered a twisted forest. The dad called Herman Grisons, the mom called Melinda Grisons, the son called Justin Grisons and the sister called Lizzie Grisons. They didn't care about it and wanted to find a place to have a camping place. Strangely, the son saw a severed arm. He was slightly terrified but ignored it and continues following. They eventually find a place to camp. The dad tells his daughter to find sticks to make a fire. Lizzie finds a couple of sticks and eventually spotting a strange figure and attacks her. The family members heard Lizzie screamed until she dies. The son was shocked and decides to look for her. He saw the same figure Lizzie died to and screamed until Justin dies. The dad and mom were scared to investigate, eventually spotting the figure. It was a humanoid filled with arms and legs, and Herman and Melinda dies from the humanoid's abilities by exploding their body and head. They were never the same again. Incident 60728. YOS 60728 was once classified as safe, but reclassified as Keter, due to the humanoid's abilities and the arms and legs tearing up the skin of a living being. The arms and legs were sent to Site 29 and the forest secured in Site 20. Item. YOS 4356. Containment class. Euclid. Disruption class. VLAM. Risk class. Warning. Containment procedures. YOS 4356-2 instances are to be kept in a glass box. The top should be locked shut to prevent the anomalous abilities of YOS 4356-2 from taking effect. No one is to hold or make contact with YOS 4356-2 instances. This would lead to an infection that is fatal and cannot be cured. Description. YOS 4356 is a phenomenon that turns any type of object into a bloody plush toy. The phenomenon is known as YOS 4356-1, while the plushies are known as YOS 4356-2. YOS 4356 is known to curse any subject it makes contact with. It also curses when a subject holds it. After for a few weeks, the subject will turn into another YOS 4356-2 instance. YOS 4356-1 does not affect a different type of plush toy since they are a different plush, but with the exception with the lack of blood. Addendum 1. YOS 4356-1 starts infecting every single object continuously, even in the Foundation. YOS 4356-2 instances instantly starts cursing some of the Foundation staff. The personnel had to quickly contain some of it in a glass box. Addendum 2. The infected Foundation staff after about a few weeks turned into a YOS 4356-2 instance. Other personnel took notice of this. They didn't want to touch the plushies, so instead they used a grab tool to grab YOS 4326-2 instances and bring them to the glass box. Note from Dr.
YOS 4356 is a severely spreading phenomenon where there are so many anomalous plush toys, and it is almost impossible to contain all of them. This phenomenon is spreading to almost everything on Earth. Foundation staff seem to think this anomaly is very dangerous, and the fact that it is very difficult to contain at this point.
YOS 4356's reclassification to Keter is pending. Hey guys, it's me, Daniel, and I will tell you another YOS anomaly, which is YOS 3596. Object class, Euclid. Oh, and also, yes, this is similar to the Volgam's videos where he explains SCPs, so don't ask. Containment procedures. YOS 3596 should be entered only if necessary. Personnel are to enter with a suit that YOS 3596-1 instances cannot terminate. No one are to make contact with YOS 3596-1 instances by any means necessary. Any YOS 3596-1 instances that is very aggressive towards any Foundation staff is to be terminated immediately. Description. YOS 3596 is an island located near the country of... It is an unsafe area that has never been visited due to the instances of YOS 3596-1 inhabiting it. YOS 3596-1 instances are a species of reptiles called snakes. Some instances are very deadly and some are not quite deadly. Many instances usually contains venom. Either is it deadly or not. Many YOS 3596-1 instances are hostile to such organisms and will usually bite and inject the venom into the victim's body, and the being will die within a few seconds or not. Foundation staff are currently using suits for protection of landing on YOS 3596. Alright, that's it for this video. See you next time. Item. YOS 3230. Object class. Keter. Containment procedures. YOS 3230 is currently uncontained at this time. It is to be found as soon as possible to prevent YOS 3230 from causing so much destruction. Failure to do so will result in YOS 3230 reaching its destination and causing massive destruction. Description. YOS 3230 is a sentient, red vehicle that drives around endlessly on roads. It is extremely aggressive around any living being it sees and will attempt to cause as many injuries as it can. It is currently impossible to contain YOS 3230 at this time due to the endlessly driving of its behavior and is still driving to its destination and causing massive damage. Foundation staff are still trying to find a way to contain YOS 3230 immediately. We will try to contain it until further notice. Happy Valentine's Day every day. To celebrate on this channel, I decided to explain these two new YOS anomalies that is related to Valentine's Day, so let's get started. Item number. YOS 5062. Object class. Safe. Containment procedures. YOS 5062 is kept in a room with Valentine gift, TV and bed. Personnel should enter her cell if necessary. Description. YOS 5062 is a human female about 5 feet tall. She seems to be wearing a red dress and brown long hair. She seems to have the ability to let every person that is male bring her Valentine's Day stuff, like chocolates, roses, balloons, etc. Foundation staff once tested with a B class, and he was male, so he gave her stuff for Valentine's Day. Now, let's get to the second anomaly. Item number. YOS 6378. Object class. Safe. Containment procedures. YOS 6378 is kept in a room with table underneath it. Personnel are not to encounter YOS 6378 without permission. Description. YOS 6378 is a statue that is strongly resembling the character Cupid. It is sentient and has a bow that shoots arrows, and also makes a person fall in love with another person after shooting her arrow. It seems to be made out of quartz and stone and the statue seems to be a baby. Happy Valentine's Day and stay safe out there. Note. YOS 4356 is reclassified as Keter due to the widespread of YOS 4356-2 instances. Item. YOS 4356. Containment class. Keter. Disruption class. VLAM. Risk class. Warning. Containment procedures. All YOS 4356-2 instances are to be contained as soon as possible. They must be kept in a glass box. The top should be locked shut to prevent the anomalous abilities of YOS 4356-2 from taking effect. No one is to hold or make contact with YOS 4356-2 instances. This would lead to infection that is fatal and cannot be cured. Description. YOS 4356 is a phenomenon that turns any type of object into a bloody plush toy. The phenomenon is known as YOS 4356-1, while the plushies are known as YOS 4356-2. YOS 4356 is known to curse any subject it makes contact with. It also curses when a subject holds it. After for a few weeks, the subject will turn into another YOS 4356-2 instance. YOS 4356-1 does not affect a different type of plush toy since they are a different plush, but with the exception with the lack of blood. Addendum 1. YOS 4356-1 starts infecting every single object continuously, even in the Foundation. YOS 4356-2 instances instantly starts cursing some of the Foundation staff. The personnel had to quickly contain some of it in a glass box. Addendum 2. The infected Foundation staff after about a few weeks turned into a YOS 4356-2 instance. Other personnel took notice of this. They didn't want to touch the plushies, so instead they used a grab tool to grab YOS 4326-2 instances and bring them to the glass box. Note from Dr.
YOS 4356 is a severely spreading phenomenon where there are so many anomalous plush toys, and it is almost impossible to contain all of them. This phenomenon is spreading to almost everything on Earth. Foundation staff seem to think this anomaly is very dangerous, and the fact that it is very difficult to contain at this point.
Item number. YOS 2227. Object class. Euclid. Containment procedures. YOS 2227 is to be secured outside 70 with a giant wall surrounding it. No one is to make contact or drink the liquid by any means. YOS 2227-1 instances are to remain in the liquid at all times and prevent them from escaping the lake. Description. YOS 2227 is a purplish lake that contains carbon dioxide, poison. The bottom of the lake is cold at 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It is currently located at Montana. YOS 2227-1 instances are fish-like species with white and red-orange textures on their bodies. They appear to be immune to any substance in the lake. Foundation have contained some of the instances to study it. Their lifespan can go up to 22 Yes, these fish are slightly aggressive and will slightly throw the poison fluid to any living subject it sees. YOS 1122. Object class. Keter. Containment procedures. If too much YOS 1122 instances is in their original chamber, they are to be transferred to a different cell by using a machine to hold them. Personnel must clean the cells if too much black substance drops on the floor. The machine is also used to hold the YOS 1122 instances and holding the YOS 1122's eggs to transfer the egg to a different cell. Description. YOS 1122 is a entity currently in baby form. It seems to possess a baby personality, and it seems to be made of black ink, along with a white face with pie eyes and a smiling mouth. It seems to have the ability to continuously produce ink eggs to form a new instance of YOS 1122 for about 1 minute. When someone cuts a piece from YOS 1122, it will still form another instance. YOS 1122 and the instances will regenerate itself to grow its entire body. However, this does not affect the instance and it will still produce eggs, and it does not show signs of pain. Addendum 1122-1. The first YOS 1122 was in the containment chamber producing its first egg. After a few hours, the chamber was full of YOS 1122 instances, so the staff had to do something about it. They built a machine to send the instances to a different chamber. Addendum 1122-2. YOS 1122 were almost filling up a lot of new chambers endlessly. This tired the staff. Addendum 1122-3. The staff were really tired, as they filled all the cells with YOS 1122 instances, until they noticed one of them escaped the cell. The instance produced the eggs forming more and more instances. The staff had nothing to do about it as the instances slowly filled the whole site. Incident 1122. One YOS 1122 instance escaped its chamber until it started releasing eggs. It slowly filled the whole chamber. The instances exited the site. The staff had to act fast to contain all of them to prevent a worldwide spread. They dropped a few eggs outside until the staff immediately trapped them in a cage. They had no choice but to send them to a different site, which is site 71. Interview 1122. Agent Frosted entered Dr. Frosted's office, for some reason bringing a YOS 1122 instance with him.
Doctor, we need to talk.
WTF? Why is the YOS 1122 creature here? It's going to fill the office with eggs.
Oh, sorry. I'll put it inside an animal cage. Anyway, we need to talk.
About what?
There are honestly too many YOS 1122 instances for us to handle. We kept sending them to different sites in different chambers, but it still kept doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, I saw that. This anomaly, I believe, was about to Tetra XK under the world scenario.
I think so too. If the anomaly covers this entire planet, it will cause every living thing to suffocate to death, and will possibly make the planet uninhabitable.
That is honestly dangerous. I will ask all personnel to attempt to terminate and neutralize YOS 1122 immediately.
Wait, but YOS 1122 will regenerate and form another one. That will make it worse.
We will do something that doesn't have anything to do with weapons.
End log. YOS 1122's behavior is very close to the Apollon class. If this gets worse, YOS 1122's classification will be reclassified as Apollon. YOS 1122's reclassification to Apollon is pending. It is also caused by YOS 1122-1, an inkwell that forms YOS 1122 instances.
I used to always look at that sign, come on, own your own home. So one day I just said, okay, I'm gonna go talk to the banker. And he didn't tell me, no, it's not possible. He told me anything was possible. Hi, I'm Veronica, and this is my banker, Roger.
Item number. YOS 2437. Object class. Euclid. Containment procedures. YOS 2437 is currently uncontained and should be contained immediately. YOS 2437-1 is to be tracked down with an object to follow its every movement. YOS 2437-2 is to not be used if necessary to get either YOS 2437-A or YOS 2437-B. Description. YOS 2437-1 is an ice cream truck with many pictures taped on it. YOS 2437-2 is a humanoid entity with melted skin and a pair of orange and blue clothing. It usually drives YOS 2437-1 around to lure civilians to feed with YOS 2437-A or B. YOS 2437 2437-A is an ice cream cone in which YOS 2437-2 randomly passes out, whether it's with different toppings or different flavors. And YOS 2437-B is a popsicle that YOS 2437-2 also randomly passes out to serve, also picks different flavors. When YOS 2437-2 passes out an instance of YOS 2437-A or B, the victim will most likely have a heart attack and an eternal brain freeze, which will kill the subject. Test 2437. D2437 has been used to test YOS 2437. YOS 2437 approaches D2437 and gives him an instance of YOS 2437-A for $4. D2437 gives the money to YOS 2437-2 and eats it. He suffers a heart attack and dies. Hey guys, Daniel here again, and I will once again tell you another YOS anomaly, which is YOS 4411. Now just a quick warning that this video has some very gross and unsettling imagery, and also some adult stuff. So people must be 18 years or older to watch this video, but if this video gets age restricted, that's not my problem. Let's go. YOS 4411, Object Class, Keter, and Threat Level, Danger. Containment procedures. YOS 4411 must be kept in a 12 meter by 12 meter humanoid containment cell. Personnel are allowed to clean up YOS 4411 cell by all the fecal waste if one of the professors tells them to. The gas is to be blown away by at least 4 or more air machine fans in order for the anus gas to not be expelled out. In the event of a containment breach from YOS 4411, he is to be found immediately. If he attempts to expel anus gases or fesses, the gas is to be blown away to prevent personnel from passing out or terminated. Any YOS 4411-1 instances found is to be terminated immediately. Description. YOS 4411 appears to be a male child, believed to be 6 years of age. He seems to have a weird irritation to hate any type of clothing, and will take them off immediately and instead expose his entire body. He also is capable of expelling gases from his anus, which would terminate an subject whenever it releases from more than 3 meters. YOS 4411 is also capable of using his fesses to breach containment, either using fecal weapons and tools, and can also easily escape by using the floor air vents, which is big enough for YOS 4411 to escape through. He also can give birth to instances of YOS 4411-1. YOS 4411-1 instances are species of fecal waste that are actually living organisms, meaning that they have organs. Although they are lacking a skeletal system, they can pollute any area with their gases that will terminate a subject whenever they are from a close distance. If any subject touches YOS 4411-1 surface, they will instantly be absorbed by it, expanding it further. YOS 4411 can also randomly go into his dimension to escape the facility and reappear elsewhere. The dimension is currently designated Dimension/4411. Foundation staff are unable to enter unless for testing purposes. They use D-class personnel to enter his dimension. The dimension produces loud echoes, making it easier to hear where YOS 4411 is located at, and sending him back to containment. Also contains lights that are dim in nature. Whenever YOS 4411 spots a subject, he immediately attacks. Foundation is currently attempting to let YOS 4411 wear red clothing, but he still takes them off without hesitation. Addendum 4411 1. YOS 4411 was discovered on the 12th of April 2020, when his parents were attempting to inflict harm on him, but MTF got them and sent them to Site-06, which is now destroyed due to YOS 414 breaching containment. YOS 4411 simply refused and attempted to attack, but was forcefully sent to the site. Addendum 4411 2. YOS 4411 somehow breached containment during a containment breach of YOS 414. He attempted to attack and terminate YOS 414 by expelling fecal waste but failed to complete it and was absorbed by YOS 414. It is soon believed that YOS 4411 is immune to any attack by any hostile anomalous entities, and will keep his flesh at bay, and simply resisted YOS 414 ripping the flesh out of him. Therefore, the anomaly was recontained to Site 7. YOS 4411 is immune to any high or low temperatures, even when he is lacking any type of clothing, which means that he ignores any hot and cold temperatures that he is exposed in. He is also infested with different viral infections, which he is also immune to, meaning that the viruses aren't doing any harm to him. Also means that YOS 4411 is seemingly indestructible, making it impossible to terminate him. Through X-ray vision, personnel staff notices instances of YOS 4423 inside his anus by using microscopic X-rays. They seem to be passive to YOS 4411. Due to the expelled gases YOS 4411 continuously produces, therefore doesn't attempt to harm YOS 4411 to demand for more gas. They also kill off viral infections whenever they are disturbed, and are immune to the effects of viruses. Addendum 4411 3. YOS 4411 was tested to terminate YOS 682 for 680 to termination attempt 5. When YOS 682 notices YOS 4411, he proceeds to attack him, but YOS 4411 immediately jumped onto YOS 682's body and begins to attack YOS 682 with his fesses. YOS 682 spins around attempting to get YOS 4411 off of it. YOS 4411 slips off and YOS 682 immediately swallows him whole. However, it still doesn't realize that YOS 4411 is still alive. Inside YOS 682's body, he starts gassing up and releasing fecal waste inside as hard as he can to escape its body. YOS 682 begins to become very sick and disgusted as he vomits back up YOS 4411 to the cell. After that, YOS 4411 climbs back up YOS 682's body, this time on its mouth. He starts doing fecal waste again, this time birthing YOS 4411-1 instances. The fecal became aggressive and breaks YOS 682's fall by forming strong bones. YOS 682 roars in pain and now becomes afraid to YOS 4411 and makes no other attempt to attack him. Finally, YOS 4411 climbs up into YOS 682's nose and makes one final fecal attempt. After that, YOS 682 fell unconscious. However, even though YOS 682 lost about 34% its body mass, this didn't terminate the entity, so this termination test was deemed a failure. Addendum 4411 4. A D-class number D4315 was sent to Dimension/4411 to find YOS 4411. He traveled for an hour until hearing echoes of YOS 4411 gassing, talking and his stomach growling. He talked to the staff and YOS 4411 immediately attacks him. Incident 4411 1. YOS 4411 was being studied with one of his fesses being experimented while personnel were outside his chamber. While YOS 4411 wasn't being watched, he took off his clothes and escaped by using his dimension and closes the portal immediately. The staff was shocked to see him gone, so they checked the cameras and were immediately looking out to find him. After a while, they reached a town where everything was covered in fecal matter, and people terminated. They believed that YOS 4411 was nearby. high, but it seems that YOS 4411 already escaped the area. They see more and more individuals covered in fesses, still unable to find YOS 4411, until they found him in South Asia and forcefully putting him in a cell. Although he easily escapes and easily terminated the staff, therefore, he continues his rampage. More staff came and this time put him in an indestructible steel cube, until they sent him back to Site 7. He killed a lot of people worldwide, killing approximately 3,456 million people. In the 13th of June 2021, Doctor was telling the staff that YOS 4411's aggression is really bizarre and very dangerous, and was thinking of permanently terminating YOS 4411. Of course, this was denied because YOS 4411 cannot be terminated in any way. Even during the YOS 680 termination test, he survived against YOS 414 and YOS 682. He was still very much alive. Maybe someday the Foundation will agree and will try to terminate YOS 4411 as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. This was weird and gross, but whatever. I'm glad you made it through that. Anyway, see you guys later. Item number, YOS 3721, Containment Class, Euclid, Disruption Class, Dark, and Risk Class, Caution. Containment Procedures. Under no circumstances are personnel allowed to enter YOS 3721 unless for testing purposes. The entrance to the tunnel is only permitted when a subject holds a camera to be worn by other staff. When YOS 3721 is not being tested, it is to be secured and forbids anyone from entering in. If there is any signs of YOS 3721-A, B, or C instances, they are to exit the tunnel immediately. Description. YOS 3721 appears to be a tunnel of circular shape. Its structure is almost green, with half of it being wood. It is found somewhere in the state of Tennessee. It measures at least 12 meters in diameter, a unfortunate location at about 200 miles inside. It has a small barely spherical hole, primarily known as the 3721 drop point. It also contains anomalous entities inside. YOS 3721-A is an entity currently inhabiting YOS 3721. It is a single sphere that is hostile towards living subjects and will impale them by damaging their eyesight and devouring them with lightning properties. YOS 3721-B is the same entity as YOS 3721-A, although possessing a bluish hue. Like YOS 3721-A, it is hostile and unlike YOS 3721-A, it will decapitate and eat the subject without any trace. YOS 3721-C is the last entity inhabiting YOS 3721. Also another sphere entity that is hostile and will rip out flesh within the victim. Addendum 3721-1. YOS 3721 was discovered on the 15th of April 19. People were missing since 2 weeks. Foundation staff investigated for the civilians, eventually finding YOS 3721, along with traces of blood. One group of staff decided to enter, after traveling for about 3 hours, until finding YOS 3721-A, and they feel like they are in serious danger, so they retreated immediately. YOS 2618, Peanut Bugs, Object Class, Euclid. Instances of YOS 2618 are kept in a standard cell with a glass container trapping them. No personnel are to come into contact or eat YOS 2618 instances at all. YOS 2618 are a species of insects that hide in peanuts as a shell. They are sometimes hostile and will bite a subject that attempts to eat them, and then turn the victim into another instance of YOS 2618. There are about 3,000 instances of 2618 currently contained in Site 48. YOS 5403, Secured Signals and Windows. Object Class, Keter. YOS 5403 is to be secured in Site 5403 in order for YOS 5403-1 instances to not be free. No one is to enter YOS 5403 unless for testing purposes. YOS 5403 are buildings believed to be made out of sand and sandstone. What is inhabiting it are YOS 5403-1, which are entities also made out of sand, and are aggressive towards living subjects. 5403-A1 is a signal tower that lures YOS 5403-1 to their prey to ambush them, and 5403-A2, another signal tower that informs 5403-1 instances to reconstruct the buildings and make new ones to expand, which makes containment even more difficult. Hey guys, today we will be talking about the top 5 insect YOS anomalies that can kill you. Let's start. Number 1. YOS 157, Object Class, Keter. YOS 157 is a species of wasps measuring 12 meters in diameter. It is hostile towards subjects that dares to approach it. When disturbed, it will enter a aggressive state and sting the subject, and will cause the subject's organs to fail by the extremely fast venom spread, and it will kill the subject. Number 2. YOS 438, Object Class, Keter. YOS 438 is an unknown species of insect that only desires to consume the blood of mammals, including humans. When an instance of YOS 438-2 spots a mammal or a human, it will lunge at it, and will consume the blood entirely out of a mammal. Although the victim will die if they had less than 20 gallons of blood left, it won't stop until the prey is drained out. After that, it will return it to YOS 438-1 to make its own food by using the blood it consumed. Number 3. YOS 735, Object Class, Euclid. YOS 735 is a species of fly similar to fireflies. Their bodies light up at dangerous levels. They will start at about 20 lumens, then it will increase to 200 lumens, 350 lumens, 690 lumens, 3000 lumens. It will never stop increasing the brightness of light from its body. This much light could damage the subject's eyes, and will melt the eyes. Although this didn't kill the subject, they will forever be blind. Number 4. YOS 748, Object Class, Keter. YOS 748 is a species of butterfly that has its entire body yellow. It appears as an extremely hostile species of butterfly, and will subdue the victim from inside the victim's body, and then bite the tissue. It has gave the victim 3 stages. First, their mouth will become swollen. Second, their skeleton will change into a shape similar to a banana, while lacking any arm and leg bones. The arms and legs will rip off from the subject. Last, the subject will become a banana. Number 5. YOS 912, Object Class, Euclid. YOS 912 is a species of insects similar to ladybugs, with the exception of the black and unsettling faces on their backs. These faces will paralyze the subject, and leave them in shock. Also, these bugs are carnivorous, so while these victims are paralyzed, these bugs will eat the victim until there is nothing left but a skeleton. And that is all of the insect YOS. Well, I got nothing else to say, so goodbye. Now what if a balloon was to pop at an extremely loud volume? Or, balloons will cause fear in people. Well, two anomalies can explain that, because it is time to explain YOS 367, and YOS 3305. YOS 367 is a Euclid anomaly that appears to be a blue balloon. It was prevented to be popped by anything sharp, because if it pops, it will pop at an extremely high volume, like 4,453 decibels. This much decibels would damage a subject's ears, along with blood coming out. There will be so much blood that the subject will eventually die from blood loss. After that, the anomaly will merge and inflate back up by itself. YOS 3305 is a Euclid class anomaly that is a group of colorful balloons. When a subject comes near them, they will hear a voice that tells them that the popping will kill even though that's not the case. The subject will now have globophobia, refusing to come near any balloons. That is all for now. See you next time.